Namaskaram. Jaya Jaya Shankara Hara Hara Shankara. Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavadpada Shankaram Lokashankaram. Welcome to the Global Festival of Oneness. This is our 6th annual edition where we spend an entire month twice a day to discuss the works and teachings and the immense wisdom that has been gifted to mankind by Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya. We start this on the Adi Shankara Jayanti and it goes on till 30 days. And today we have the privilege of listening to a very young scholar, Sri Anandha Ganesh, who is going to be speaking to us about Advaita Bhakti in the words of Shankaracharya. Sri Anandha Ganesh is a resident of Chennai and hails from the Puranic village of Umayalpuram near Swami Malai. Now, Umayalpuram Sri Sivaraman is one of my favorite musicians, so what a wonderful place to come from. From the tender age, he has been learning Samaveda along with his regular schooling. During his undergraduate days, he was blessed to be trained under Swami Satyeswarananda Puri from Ramakrishna Mutt and was initiated into Vedanta studies. Post-college, he was blessed by Pujya Sri Swami Onkarananda of Theni and was further trained under various shastras like Dharma Shastra, Upasana Shastra, Yoga Shastra, and Vedanta Shastras. Anandha Ganesh currently works as a senior associate at a global bank, BNP Paribas. He is going to be speaking to us about Advaita Bhakti in the words of Shankaracharya. Please start your talk, Anandha Ganesh.
Thank you. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Abhipsidartha Siddhartam Pujito Yasura Suraihi Sarva Vignaha Chitastasmai Ganadhipataye Namaha Sharadyotsana Shuddha Shashiyuta Jata Jutamakuta Varatra Satrana Sphatika Gatika Pustakakaram Satrunnatva Kathamiva Satam Sannidadate Madhukshiraddraksha Madhuri Madhurinaha Panitayaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vante Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mantrastasya Namani Yani Karmadhyekam Tasya Devasya Seva Jai Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Hari Om. I offer my humble pranams to the lotus feet of the Almighty, the Sadgurunathals who have brought me up and made me as a man and put up in this stage. I also offer my humble pranams to the organizers of the Indica group who have been conducting the festival of oneness, which is very much required in this world to preach the teachings of Pujya Sri Adi Shankaracharya. Today is a very auspicious day. Why? Because today is Buddha Anuradha Amrita Siddha Yoga. There is a celestial combinations which has been taken up in our Shastras, which says if this Tithi, Vara, Nakshatras are combined together, they can yield us the phalan of a Grahana Punyakala, 1000 times of Grahana Punyakala. Today, being Amrita Siddha Yoga, we are going to quench our thirst of Amrita. What is that Amrita? Is Advaita Amrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim. The Amrita is the Advaita Amrita, which has 18 chapters in that, the Bhagavad Gita. The Siddha is nothing but the Siddha Purusha, Pujya Sri Bhagavadpada, the Adi Shankaracharya's Vyakhyana on Bhakti, which is hidden inside the Bhagavad Gita. So it is very apt that today is Amrita Siddha Yoga, and we are going to enjoy the Amrita Siddha of the Amrita is the Bhagavad Gita, and Siddha, the words, the enchanting words of Pujya Sri Adi Shankara Bhagavadpadacharya. The topic itself is very contradictory, that Advaita Bhakti, the words of Sri Adi Shankara Bhagavadpadacharya. In general world, people consider Advaita as different and Bhakti as different. Bhagavadpada says Bhakti is very much needed to attain the true Advaitin state. A true Advaitin is always a Bhakta in Vyavahara. So what Bhakti is a question which arises when we hear about the word Bhakti. Narada says, Sat Asmin Parama Prema Rupa in his Bhakti Sutra. Bhakti is something like a Prema Rupa, which is an embodiment of true love and devotion towards the God. Also, Narada gives an example who is a true Bhakta. He says, Yatha Vrajagopikanam. Why he quotes Vrajagopis as a true Bhakti? What did they have as a true Bhakti? Can be seen in the Gopika Gitam of Srimad Bhagavata Mahapurana, where Gopis says, Nakhalu Gopika Nandano Bhavan Akhila Dehinam Antaratma Dhrik. Patisutanvaya Bhratru Bandhavan Ativilangyate Antyachutagataha. This is what Gopis says to Krishna. It is not that they shed their emotions towards the Svarupa of Vasudeva, but they visualize the Vasudeva as their Pati, Sutta, and whatnot. They saw the Vasudeva as Antaratma. So Narada quotes in this Bhakti Sutra as Yatha Vrajagopikanam. But different Siddhantins have their own definition to Bhakti. Let us take a perspective of how Sri Pujya Sri Adi Shankara Bhagavadpadacharya deals Bhakti in his own words. When inquired about Bhakti, Bhagavadpada says, when inquired about Moksha even, Bhagavadpada says, Bhakti is very much needed. In Viveka Chudamani, Bhagavadpada quotes, Moksha sadhana samagriyam bhaktireva gariyasi. He puts that evakaram, which he stresses there very much. But what is Bhakti? Svarupa Anusandhanam bhaktirityavidhiyate. That's what Bhagavadpada says. The love towards God, the love towards self, we call as a Bhakti. The reverential love towards the higher principle, we call as Bhakti. We have Matru Bhakti, Pitru Bhakti, Acharya Bhakti, Guru Bhakti, Desha Bhakti. But here in this context, as we are dealing with Bhagavad Gita in Advaita Bhakti, we are going to take the Bhakti towards Ishvara. So love of God is the love towards the self. The intensity towards the love, the intensity towards God depends upon the way how we look upon the perception of God. Today we have taken Bhagavad Gita on how Bhakti is expressed by Adi Shankara Bhagavadpadacharya. For a month, in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Bhagavan says, there are 4 types of customers who do Bhakti to me, but they are very fortunate to do the Bhakti to me. Who are those? Are the Manda Adhikara Bhakti, the Madhyama Adhikara Bhakti and Uttama Adhikara Bhakti. आर्तोरर्थार्थि जिज्ञासु ज्ञानी च भरदर्षभ चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जना सुकृतिनोऽर्जुन. The person who are very sukrita, who have done good deeds in their previous birth, are very fortunate to worship me in this birth, but they are of four types only. Artha, Artharthi, Jignyasuhu, Jnani. Artha Bhakta is the one who does a barter system way of bhakti. Artharthi is the one who asks Bhagavan only to fulfill his worldly desires. Jignasu is the type of bhakta who asks for a moksha kama, and Jnani is also a bhakta here, which is very astonishing. Like who knows that both the Ishvara and the Atma and the Self is nothing but the same. Acharya firmly establishes the importance of bhakti in moksha marga, that Svarupa Anusandhanam is the true form of bhakti. But there will be a question to us, like, what is Svarupa Anusandhana? How an individual will get a Svarupa Anusandhana? Because to fit in a Shankara Sampradaya way, in our Pujya Sri Acharya's way, how to fit, how to get that Svarupa Anusandhana? It is very simple. We need to do the surrender, the fulfilled surrender to a guru. That is even said in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavan says, Tadbuddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upatekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Because in second chapter, Arjuna says, Sishyasteham sadimam tvam prapannam. I do prapatti to you, Krishna. Do induce me with the fullest form of knowledge, is what Arjuna's request is. So, guided by Bhagavan, he does the prapatti to a guru. A sampradaya with guru is what Bhagavadpadacharya stresses every now and then in his bhashyas. So, surrender to a guru will automatically liberate a Sishya. How it will liberate is that, right? Bhagavan says, Dadami bhakti yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Bhagavan or the Guru himself, Guru is none other than the Bhagavan, they bless us with the Buddhi Yoga and then they liberate us. With my Acharya's Kripa, with my Guru's Kripa, I was trying to focus on this Bhakti topic inside the Bhagavad Gita, where I found interestingly, there are 33 places where the Bhaj Dhatu comes. Let it be Bhakti, Bhakta, Bhajante, Bhajati, etc. There are 33 places where this Bhaj Dhatu appears inside Bhagavad Gita. So, with our Acharya's Kripa, Paripurna Kataksha, let us try to focus on some of those parts with the available time. How Bhagavadpada explains the way of Bhakti in his own style, and how Bhakti is indeed inculcated inside the Advaita. First of all, the first ever Bhakta Shabda appears in which yoga? Do we all know? In Jnana Yoga, the fourth chapter, Jnana Yoga, the first Bhakta Shabda or the Bhaj Dhatu appears. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam etatuttamam. The Suttama Rahasya is being said, or it's being conveyed to a Sishya, it's being given to the Sishya who is a Bhakta. So, we all need to stress again and again and again on what is Bhakti. According to Acharya, it's nothing but the Svarupa Anusandhana Bhakti. Bhaktosi me Bhaktaha. Wherever Bhagavan says a pada of Bhakta, he just gears up when he says about his Bhakta, because me Bhaktaha, me Bhaktaha, me Bhaktaha is what Bhagavan says in the forthcoming talks. He is very fond of his Bhakta. It is very astonishing that he says, Jnani to Atmaiva me matam. Jnani is none other than me, but he owns Bhakta. He holds off his Bhakta that me bhaktaha, na me bhakta pranashati, mad bhaktaha. So he says bhakta is very near and very dear to him. Why so? So what is the qualification of a bhakta? Let us see how it goes. The transformation of a manda adhikari bhakta to a madhyama adhikari and uttama adhikari bhakta is being very well explained in Bhagavad Gita. So how is it explained? Let us all quench our thirst in the Bhakti Jnana Yoga, the Advaita Bhakti. The second place where the Bhakta Shabda appears is that Sarvabhuta Sthito Yo Mam Bhajatyeka Ekatvam Astitaha. Here again, the upcoming Upadeshas hints given us that Ekatvam Astitaha Mam Astitaha Mam Madbhaktaha Astitaha Sarvabhuta Sthito Yo Mam. He says this reverent presence is there everywhere in this world, in the nook and corner, not only in this world, but in the Chaturdasha Bhavana. The one who sees me as Vasudeva Sarvamiti is my true bhakta. That's why Narada has quoted Yatha Vraja Gopikanam Akila Dehinam Antaratmadrik, because the gopis didn't see Vasudeva as an embodiment of a person, but they stood up, they saw Vasudeva being residing Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Also, Bhagavan further stresses Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam sameyukta tamo mataha. The bhakta who has a Shraddha. So what do we mean by Shraddha? Bhagavadpada says in his Tattva Bodha, Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Vishwasaha Shraddha Kidrishi. In that Bhagavadpada says, Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Vishwasa Shraddha. That Vishwasa we need to have towards our Guru. We need to uphold our Guru in such a way that he will definitely show us the right path towards the liberation. The Bhakta, the devotee who does the worship with full Shraddha. It is also explained further down in Bhagavad Gita, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. The one who is having the Shraddha, the Nischala, the Asanchala, the Nishkapata Shraddha is being blessed with Jnana. Also, we need to note a very minute point here. Tame yukta tamo mataha. The one who worships Bhagavan with ultimate Shraddha is being converted to as a yogi. From bhakta to yogi. So what? Even all bhaktas are yogis. Bhagavan says further in Bhakti Yoga also, Bhakti is an integral form of yoga. Bhakti is an integral form of karma. Bhakti is an integral form of jnana. Because in each and every adhyaya of Bhagavad Gita we could see Adhuta Vishada Yogaha, Sankhya Yogaha, Jnana Yogaha, Karma Yogaha, Bhakti Yogaha, Sannyasa Yogaha, Moksha Sannyasa Yogaha. Yoga is integral form where Bhakti is a minute line which connects all the dots. Like how we have the Sushumna Nadi running inside our body, which is very minute. Likewise, Bhakti is an integral part of Jnana and Karma, which leads us to that Sahasrara. So that if one reaches the Sahasrara in yoga, that is the highest form. That Sahasrara has Sahasrara Padma. Sahasrara Padma, if we reach, the nectar flows. That nectar is nothing but the Advaita Amritam. That Advaita Amritam is nothing but the Bhagavad Gita itself. So, Bhagavan assures that his Bhakta is given the Jnana Samrajya, the Yoga Samrajya, the Moksha Samrajya as well. Further, in Jnana Vijnana Yoga, the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan stresses the 4 types of Bhakta, which was already discussed here. Saturvida bhajante mam janaha smritinojjana Artho artharthi jignasu jnani cha bharadarshava tesham jnani nityayuktaha eka bhaktar vishishyate priyo hi jnanino nyartam aham sacha mama priyaha. He is very dear and nearer to me. Who? The jnani. Who is the jnani? The bhakta is the jnani. Here the bhakta is nothing but the one who does the 9 types of bhakti, but the one who has done the ultimate form of bhakti, the Atma Nivedana Bhakti, and who has understood that he and Bhagavan is the same. The Svarupa, the Ishvaro, Guruhu, Atma, everything is the same. Tattvamasi. That bhakta is being stressed here. Nityayuktaha eka bhaktar visishyate. Nityayuktaha, the one who does every day without fail, the one who worships Nitya Bhakti, one who does the Bhakti daily. Eka bhaktar visishyate. Eka bhaktar means there is one Abhanga which I want to quote here. Ekamurti Vitobhai, Sarvamurti Sarvathai is what Jnaneshwar says. So that Eka Bhakti is very important. That Eka Bhakti should be towards oneself. Oneself is nothing but the Guru, the Atma, the Ishvara. How the Eka Bhakti can be explained? This Eka Bhakti, how we can see, where we can see? We can see in Pujya Sri Acharya himself. A Sampradaya verse referring to Acharya says, Acharya is nothing but Antashakto Bahishaivaha Vyavahareshu Vaishnavaha. How was Acharya? Acharya was a Shakta Upasaka inside, wearing the Shaiva Chinnas outside, and he was saying Narayana Smritihi. Even though when we now go to the Shankara Mats, they say Narayana Smritihi. Shakta is eternal and it's equivalent to Advaita. People who follow Shakta can relate Advaita very easily, where Agastya says in his verse, Vedanta Nivasiniye Sharanam. Acharya, who has been an embodiment of Advaita, who is considered as a Sarvadevata Swarupa, who had done many Stotra Granthas, who has done Bhashya to Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Trishati, who has done the Stotra Granthas starting from Ganesha, Subramanya, Shiva, Rama, Krishna, different forms of Devi, until even Bhairava, Dashtakams, the Panchakams, and whatnot, has also written the Bhashyas on the Advaita Prakarana Granthas. This is what will be a true state of Advaitin is, because Acharya never Acharya never said Advaita and Bhakti is different. How? We have another Sampradaya verse says that Bhavadvaitam sada kuryat Kriyadvaitam na karhichit Advaitam trishu lokeshu Nadvaitam guruna saha. Bhavadvaitam sada kuryat. We need to be in Advaita Bhavana every time. But when it comes to Kriya, we should leave the Advaita Buddhihi, and we have to be in the Advaita Buddhihi, is what Acharya stresses, is what Acharya has been showing us. Because being an Advaitin, he could have been in somewhere in Himalayas doing great tapasya. But what he did, he traveled Ase to Himachala and he did the Stotra Granthas. Why he did? Because in Kriya, you need to be a Dvaitin. But you need to be a Sarvatra Samadarshanaha and you need to be an Advaitin in the Bhava state. That is what our Shankara Sampradaya Purushas who are leading us from different mats, they have been doing. They do all the Vrata Anusthanas from Shivaratri, Navaratri to Nrasimha Chaturdashi. Everything they do, all the Vrata Anusthanas they perform in Kriya Bhava, but in Bhava, in Kriya they do the Dvaita Bhava, but in Bhava they show the equality. That they show the oneness. Though they show the duality in the Kriya, they show the duality in oneness, which is nothing but the Advaita state. They do serve the people. They do preach the Advaita. But when it comes to the Kriya, they see the Lord quite ahead of themselves, and they do. Why do they do? What is the necessity of them doing these so many vrata anushtanas? It is to inculcate that knowledge. It is to impart that knowledge to us so that we should also be doing that. Or else even we would have not done all the nitya naimittika anushtanas which have been insisted by our Rishi Parampara. We would have not been doing that. If our acharyas were not a right example, and if they were not doing, we would also have not been doing, and we would all have sit simply and we would have said, I am and Ishvara and one. We have been eating all the day, rejoicing all the day. But that is not the situation here. Acharyas even do the puja. So as we have to do the puja, but we have to be Narayana Smarana. We have to be assured that I am an Advaitin, I am a Advaita Bhakta, I am a Moksha Anusandhana Bhakta, and we have to be in that eternal state. They also do the serve, they also serve the society irrespective of caste, creed, and religion. That is what the Advaita Buddhi is there even while doing the Kriya. Further, Bhagavan says, Yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhaya chitumicchati tasya tasya achalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham. The achala shraddha, the nischala shraddha, the stronghold of shraddha is being quoted by Bhagavan, which was already discussed as shraddhavan labate jnanam. The bhakta who is very pious, who is very concentrated, who is very focused in shraddha, receives that ultimate jnana, is being proved in this verse. The bhakta, so you can be a gauna bhakta, you can be doing all the activities, but you need to have shraddha towards your guru, towards the guru's upadeshas. This is what being stressed here by Bhagavadpadacharya. It is a very important qualification of bhaktas, because the later Bhakti Siddhanta says there is no qualification needed for the bhakta. But Bhagavan stresses here, Bhagavadpada stresses here that a bhakta needs to have shraddha. He needs to have a concentrated one towards the worship. So he can be a self-realized. Later in Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga, which is very Guhya Yoga, which is the Raja Yoga, Bhagavan says, Bhajante ye shraddhayan vitaha. Bhajante shraddhayan vitaha. Shraddhavan bhajate. Shraddham tameva vidadamyaham. So, the shraddha is being inculcated so that the manda bhakta turns as a madhyama bhakta. The transformation, see, we need to note the transformation, how Bhagavadpadacharya or how Bhagavan takes his bhakta. He says, you need to do the prapatti. First, Arjuna does the prapatti. Then Bhagavan says that Arjuna, you need to have shraddha. So, like Arjuna, we are all the sishyas. We need to do prapatti to our gurus. So, Guru will inculcate a shraddha towards our passion, our practice, so that he turns us into a beautiful rose, beautiful spatika, and he does the samarpanam, the atma samarpanam of the sishya to Bhagavan. The sishya, before entering into a relationship, before entering into the firmship with his guru, he can compare himself, how he was before when he saw his guru and how he is now after seeing his guru. Right? In Rajavidya, Rajaguhya Yoga, again Shraddha is being stressed by Bhagavan, where Bhagavan ordains Arjuna that Bhakta needs to concentrate only in me. Me is not that the Vasudeva Svarupa, but the eternal form of the Atma, which turns one into self-realized. The next 6 slokas continuously says about the Bhakta Shabda, which leaves us astonishing in the Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga. Because Raja Yoga is something that which we all nowadays, the corporate marketers market, that it is something about the Kundalini Shakti, something about doing the pranayama, yoga, asana. Yes, it is there. It's a part. But what do you need to have in basic is that the bhakti you need to have. That is what being stressed here. Samoham sarva bhuteshu nametreshyokti na priyaha. Ye bhajante tumam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. Bhagavan is in favor of his devotees here. The Jnana devotee, the true Advaita devotee is what we need to be very sure of. Apichet suduracharaha bhajate mam ananyabhat sadureva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito hi saha Chitram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim niyachati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. What a beautiful verse here. The man who has a very bad conduct, who is of an extremely vile behavior, of a very condemnable act, like Ajamila in Srimad Bhagavata Purana, who worships in the end Narayana with his mind not giving towards anybody else. But later, when he turns into a sadhureva, a bhakta who before reaching towards the Guru's charana and after reaching towards Guru charana has to be considered as a sadhu only. Sadhureva samantavyaha. You need to accept him as a sadhu. And then the Jnana Bodhana continues there. Name bhakta pranashyati. What a beautiful verse. Bhagavan assures here, having given up his giving up his extremely vile behavior due to the strength of his internal proper results, he soon becomes a very dharma atma, jnana atma, shuddha atma, possessed of a virtuous mind, who has dedicated his inner being, the full prapatti, the full sharanagati towards the Guru's Vedanta Vakya. He does not get perishes. Pranashyati, he name bhakta pranashyati. He does not get perishes. He does not get ruins. It's what assured by Bhagavan, which we need to be very careful about, which we need to rejoice about. Because Bhagavan says, Ma Shucha. If you go to Kanchi Varadaraja, he'll be having in his right hand as Ma Shucha. Bhagavan assures that. Even in 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan assures, Arjuna, Ma Shucha Sampadam Daivi Abhijatasya Pandava. So we don't need to be feared. The one who has done the prapatti, sharanagati, and who has the vishwasa towards Vedanta Vakya of Guru doesn't need to get feared. My Guru is there. The Vedanta Vakya is there to guide me. What is the true state of a bhakta? Kim Brahma, Kim Punar Brahmana Punya Bhakta Rajarishayastata Anityam Asukam Lokam Imam Prapya Mam Bhajasva. That's what Bhagavan stresses in the further 9th chapter 33rd shloka. The uncertainty of the world is now being inculcated to that bhakta. The bhakta who has done the prapatti already now is being is slowly getting the jnana about the world. So what he says, he gets that vairagya in the due course. The Dhira Purusha Lakshana, which was explained by Bhagavan in the 2nd chapter, like Dhiraspatra Navukhyati. The Sthita Prajna Lakshana, which was explained, Sukhe Dukke Same Kritva Labha Labho Deyadayo Tato Yuddhayadhyasva Naivam Papam Avapsyasi. Also he says, Samatvam Sarva Bhuteshu Sukhe Dukke Same Kritva Haumanam Yavvanam Jara Tata Dehantara Praptihi Dhiraspatra Navukhyati Matra Sparshasthakunteya Sitaha Ushtaha Sukadukkada Agamapayino Nityaha Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. And even in Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya Namani Grinhati Naroparani Tata Sharirani Vihaya Jirnani Anyani Samyani Namani Dehi Nainan Chindanti Shastrani Nainan Dahati Pavakaha Atainan Kledayantyapaha Asoshayati Martaha Achedyoya Madahyayam Akledyo Soshayevacha Nityaha Sarvagataha Thanuhu Achaloyam Sanatanaha. What a beautiful verse. Bhagavan explains the Sthita Prajna Lakshana in the 2nd chapter is being inculcated again here because the bhakta furtherly understood the Sukha Dukkha, the Labha, the labha and nashta, the jaya and apajaya. He gets the vairagya. Why he gets the vairagya? Because he does the bhakti with ultimate shraddha. So he gets the vairagya here. Mam bhajasva, one who worships me. Bhajasva, here again, Bhagavadpada stresses that the Svarupa Anusandhanam Bhakti. Also, he says in the 9th chapter, 34th shloka, which is very important, Manmana bhava, madbhakto bhava, yaji bhava, mam namaskuru, mame vaishyasi taiva, atmanam matparayanaha. So, this gives us an opportunity that Manmana bhava means we need to do the Namadapa of Vasudeva. It is right only because Bhagavadpadacharya, who has handled the Mantra Shastras also, in Prapanchasara Sara Sangraha, which was a very brief note for the Prapanchasara Tantra, which was handled by Bhagavadpada, in Prapanchasara Sara Sangraha, all the mantras which have been given are either of Aishwarya Phalapradanoyam mantraha, Vidya Phalapradanoyam mantraha, Gana Phalapradanoyam mantraha. The Vasudeva Dvadasakshari mantra as being the only mantra which is given as Moksha Phalapradanoyam mantraha. So, the Vasudevas, which is a piece of information which I wanted to share in between, because that shows Bhagavadpada has a very due respect to the Vasudeva Murta. Vasudeva Murta is nothing but Atma himself. Vasudeva Sarvam iti Samahatma Sudurlabha. The same Manmana Bhava is again stressed in the 18th chapter. Manmana Bhava, Madbhakto Bhava, Madhyaji Bhava, Mam Namaskuru, Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Pratijani Priyosmite. So the last two verses changes here. Muktaiva Atmanam Matparayanaha Satyam Te Pratijani. Satyam, Atma. These are the two words which we need to take. So Atma is Satya, Satyavastu, Muktavastu, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Vastu, which is very much nearer and dearest to her. For Manda Bhakta, Atma is near. For Madhyama Bhakta, Atma is nearer and dearer. For Uttama Bhakta, Atma is dearest and nearest. Is what we need to inculcate from these verses. This can be interpreted by Dvaitins also, like all the kriyas related to the worship, the Dvaita kriyas. But for an Advaitin, bhava is very important. It is very important to fix our mind on the Atma and the true devotee who is always dwelling in his own Atma, he has to bow down to his Atma. Bhaktovan, Mam Namaskuru in the sense, the form of Atma, the form of Guru, he has to do the Namaskara. So that has been discussed here in this verse. This also a Mahavakya Nirupamanam of Tattvamasi, nothing but you are dwelling in that Manmana Bhava, you are dwelling in that own Atma, Madbhakto Bhava, you are doing the worship of your own Atma, Madbhakto Bhava, Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru, you are nothing but the Atma himself. Wherever else the Madbhakta Shabda comes, Bhagavan says he is very near and dear to mine. Further, in Vibhuti Yoga, Bhagavan says, Aham sarvasya prabhaha matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Now the Upadesha starts for a bhakta. Buddha bhava samanvitaha. The same is there in the Gopika Gita, Buddha manognyaya pushkarekshanaha. So the buddhi is being transferred from Gauni Bhakta, the Manda Adhikari of Bhakta, now the Bhakta is into a Madhyama Adhikari. The transformation is slowly being seen here. Because the same is being said in the 6th chapter, Atma upamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna. That Sarvatra Bhavam is being conveyed here by Bhagavan. How it is being conveyed? Because Bhagavan gives that buddhi, that Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha, the buddhi is being transferred from Guru to Sishya, and that buddhi for that bhakta, that buddhi is now very strong, it is very Nischala, very Achala, that I need to do the bhakti in the right way. Also, further says, Tesham Satatayuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayantite. Bhagavan gives the buddhi to that bhakta. Bhagavan says this Dadami 2 times in Bhagavad Gita. One he says, Divyam Dadami Che Chakshuhu in the Vishwarupa Darshana. But here Bhagavan says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam. See, we can relate this very much. When you have buddhi only, Bhagavan gives you the divine vision. First, Bhagavan blesses, the Guru blesses his Sishya with the divine knowledge. So, later he blesses his Sishya, Bhagavan blesses his devotees with divine vision to see that Vasudeva Sarvam, Sarvatra Samabuddhayaha, Sarvatra Samadarshanaha is what we as Advaitin, we need to know. Bhagavan has assured here, he will give the Jnana Yoga, where that self-love will be inculcated to the bhakta. The Buddhi Yoga, what type of Buddhi Yoga is that? The self-love of Buddhi Yoga, which is nothing but Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. Further, in the Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, Bhaktya Padanyaya Shakya Ahame Veti Sorjuna. Ananya Ekagra Bhakti is being stressed on nothing but the Vasudeva Svarupa, which is nothing but the Atma himself. Further, now very important yoga, that is the Bhakti Yoga, is being explained. Santushtaha Satatam Yogi Yatatma Drida Nischayaha Mayarpita Manobuddhihi Madbhaktaha Same Priyaha. The one who gives his whole body, Vakaya, Mano, Vakaya, Karmendriya, Jnanendriya, Vyapara Buddhi towards Bhagavan, Mayarpita Manobuddhihi, who does the Samarpana to that Buddhi, to that Shraddha, who has the Drida Nischaya Shraddha, he becomes a yogi. And he is very nearer and he is very dearer to me. Bhaktaha, Mad Bhaktaha, Me Priyaha, Dad Bhaktaha, Same Priyaha, Mad Bhakta Same Priyaha, who surrenders to Shastra and Guru Vakya. Further, in the upcoming slokas, the beautiful Gambhirya of our Bhagavan and our Bhagavadpada is being explained. Anapeksha Sucharitakshu Udasino Gatavyataha Sarvaramba Parityagi Yo Mad Bhakta Same Priyaha Yo na Hrishyati na Dveshti na Shochati na Kankshati Subhashubha Parityagi Bhaktimanya Same Priyaha Tulya Nindastutir Maunihi Santushto Yena Kenachit Aniketaha Tiramatihi Bhaktiman Me Priyo Naraha Ye tu dharmyamritamitam yatoktam paryupasate Shraddhavan matparama bhaktaste ativa me priyaha. He is very nearer and dearer to me. The 16th, 17th and 19th sloka of this Bhakti Yoga, the Manda Bhakta is totally transformed to a Madhya Adhikari Bhakta, where Bhagavan transfers all the knowledge as he transfers his Bhakta into a Sthita Prajna, to a Sthira Matihi, the Ekagra Bhakti, and he transforms that Bhakta to a very nearer and dearer to him. The well-trained Bhakta, who is Aniketanaha, who has no apeksha, anapekshaha, and turns into a Sarvaramba Parityagi, Sarvasanga Palatyagi, now is slowly being transferred to a Uttama Adhikari Bhakta, who is now a Sthita Prajna, and he is very nearer and dearer to me. Further, In Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, Bhagavan says, Maicha Ananya Yogena Bhakti Avyabhicharini, Avyabhicharini Bhakti, which doesn't has any kapata, Vyabhicharini Bhakti, Avyabhicharini Bhakti, the purest form of bhakti is being inculcated here. The true and the purest form of bhakti. What is the true and purest form of bhakti? Vivikta deshi sevitvam aradihi jana samsadihi. Like how Bhagavadpada says, satsangatve jivan muktihi, satsangatve nissangatvam. One who gets that satsanga of his guru, then he gets that mentality of like Vivikta Aradir Jana Samsadi. He doesn't want to mingle in the crowd. He wants to be always alone. He wants to always be alone in the sense that he doesn't show all the anger towards the people. He is always same. He always sees everyone as a Samadarshana. He always says equivalent. Atmaupammena Sarvatra. But what happens in due course is that Aradihi Jana Samsadihi. He doesn't mingles in the Laukika very much. But whatever he speaks turns out to be Atma Swarupa. Whatever he does, it all turns out to be the karma of the Bhakta, who is a very qualified Bhakta here, is what being stressed here. And further, also being stressed in the 14th chapter, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, Amcha Vyo Avyabhicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate. The Avyabhicharini Bhakti is being stressed here. Because when we travel in one path, we used to get whether are we traveling in the path rightly or not, whether he is guiding me properly or not. Bhagavan says you need to have Shraddha. You need to have the Avyabhicharini Buddhi. You need to have that Avyabhicharini, the full Vishwasa Shraddha is being stressed again and again and again. Bhakti Yogena Sevate. Who does the serving with that Bhakti Yoga? Sagunan Samatityitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. He attains that Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. That ultimate self is being attained here. Sagunan Samatityitan. He crosses all the three gunas and he is Gunatita here. Who? That Bhakta. Who was the Manda Bhakta? Who was not even qualified as a Bhakta, who was given Shraddha and turned into a Madhyama Bhakta, is now being turned into a Uttama Bhakta, and he is a true Atma Sarvatra Darshana Bhakta here. Finally, in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says all about the Bhakta. Brahma Bhutaha Sannatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati. In between the 14th and 18th chapter, we can see a huge gap that Bhagavan doesn't use the Bhakta Shabda. It is because he does the Upadesha of Daiva Asura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga in the 16th chapter. He says, Arjuna, who is right, who is not right, what does a person who has all the Daiva Sampat, where does he goes? Daivi Sampadaha Mokshaya Bhavanti. Asuri Sampadaha Nibandaya Bhavanti. He says the person who has all the Daiva Sampat, he goes to Swarga, or he doesn't comes again and again and he doesn't get hold in this Janana Marana wheel. So Bhagavan explains there. Further, when that Bhakta, that Uttama Bhakta, who was said as Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, now that Bhakta is being transferred as the Uttama Bhakta. Brahma Bhutaha Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati. He doesn't worry about anything. He doesn't need to have a fear about the samsara because he turns into a Prasannatma. Samaha Sarveshu Bhuteshu Adbhaktim Labate Param. Due to that bhakti which was got in the due course, which was blessed by Ishvara, which was blessed by our Shastra, which was blessed by Bhagavan, the Sadhya Bhakti is now turned into a Siddha Bhakti. It's now turned into a Kaivalya. Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yaschasmi Tatvataha Tatomam Tatvato Jnatva Vishateta Anantaram. The one who understands Bhagavan or the Atma in the Tattva Nirupana form. Tattva is nothing but the Mahavakyas. All the Mahavakyas in all the Dasha Upanishads, the Mahavakya Anusandhana, the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana Bhakti, Shravana Manana Nididhyasana Purvaka Bhakti, the Nischala Bhakti, the one who understands Bhagavan in the Tattvataha form, that Bhakta is stressed here. At last, the Bhakta Shabda ends as below, Yaimam Paramam Guhyam Madbhakte Teshvaditasyati Madbhaktim Maiparam Kritva Mame Vaishyasi Na Samshayaha. Bhagavan assures, hey Arjuna, you should not have any samshaya. Because he says earlier that samshayatma vinashati. Don't get doubted yourself. Because you are in a Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya. In Tamil we used to say, you are in a Raja Pattai. Because as we are traveling in our path of gurus, we don't need to worry, we don't need to fear about where we are traveling, how we are traveling, because that only guru is also called as Deshikaha, the one who shows us the path, the right path is called as a Deshikaha. So that Deshika shows us the right path, and we don't need to have any samshaya about that guru. But before attaining that Deshika, we need to do all the temperament, we need to do all the testing, we need to undergo all the testing, so that Shraddhavan is blessed with Labhate Jnanam. The Shraddha towards the Grantha, the Bhakti, the Bhagavad Gita is again stressed here in this verse. Hence, according to Acharya, Bhakti is nothing but the Svarupa Anusandhanam Bhakti, which will lead us to salvation, which we all see in our day-to-day life, the Svarupa Anusandhana Bhakti, which is done by the Acharyas, the Kanchi Kamakoti Acharyas, the Shringeri Acharyas, the Badri, the Puri, all the Shankaracharyas who do the Nitya Chandramolishwara Puja and who do inculcate themselves in the puja for hours together, but they bless all their devotees with equality, is what stressed here. That is the true state of Advaita Bhakti. Because if we say, people consider that Advaita is a North Pole and Bhakti is the South Pole, it doesn't mingle. But no, it is the same side, it is the two different sides of the same coin. Bhakti will always lead us to Advaita Jnana. Aneka janma samsiddha tato yanti param gatim. Bhakti will always lead us to the Atma, the Sarvatra Samabhava will always lead us to the ultimate Jnana. The ultimate moksha is what has been stressed by Bhagavadpada all along in his Bhagavad Gita Bhashya. But there is another important why we need to take this Bhagavad Gita alone? Why Bhagavadpada did Bhashya for this Bhagavad Gita alone? There were different sort of Gita. There were Ripu Gita, Guru Gita. Even Bhagavan did Upadesha to Uddhava. That is Uddhava Gita is there. Anu Gita is there. Rama Gita is there. Everything is there. But why did he says? Because what was done by Rama in Ramayana was said by Krishna in this Bhagavad Gita. How a person has to conduct himself, how a Manda Adhikari has to turn himself into an Uttama Adhikari, how he has to attain the salvation is practically explained here by Bhagavan. Because Arjuna was asking questions then and there in Bhagavad Gita. He was like how Purandaradasa says, Vijayana Sati in the Kaya itu. He was always unripe, or you can say he was a vegetable. He was like a mango which was in an unripe state. But Bhagavan turns him into a ripe one. So Arjuna gets that Purna Jnana. So where he says, Nashto Mohaha Smritir Labdva. That Smriti he gets. From where does he get that Smriti? He gets from the Jnana Upadesha of the Sadguru, the Sampradaya with Guru. Nashto Moha Smritir Labdva. Then he says, karishye vachanam tava. I will do as ordained by you. What Bhagavan ordains, he asks us to do our duty, and he asks us to do the sarvasanga parityaga, sarva karma phalatyaga, and the phala is given to the Ishvara, and it is decided, the phala is given by the Ishvara. So once we do the sarvasanga parityaga, then we are him. We are Bhagavan. So Bhagavan then only owns Mad Bhaktaha, Me Priyaha. That Bhakta is being stressed here in the full Bhagavad Gita. So what we need to do? That is the question. So to attain that knowledge, to attain that ultimate level, what we need to do? We all need to hold hands of our Guru. In Nyaya, they used to say there are two types of Nyaya, Markata Nyaya and the Marjala Nyaya. Markata means that monkey has to withhold with his mother, which is traveling from one tree to another tree. Whereas a cat which is not capable of anything, the cat holds his kitten in his mouth and it carries everywhere, to feed it. Likewise, we need to uphold, we need to be very strong. The Nischala Bhakti, which was stressed here, we need to be very Nischala in holding our hands of Guru, so that the Guru takes all our Purva Karmas, he dissolves all our Purva Karmas, and he gets us to the nearby Bhagavan, which is nothing but the Guru himself turns a Sishya into a Jivan Muktaha. Ihaiva Tairjitaha is what stressed here. Here itself, that person gets that Mukti, that Jivan Mukta state, not the Karma Mukti. The Jivan Mukta state is attained by that qualified Bhakta who was previously a Manda Bhakta, then turned into a Madhyama Bhakta, then further with the Upadesha of the Guru, with the Shraddha which he got, with the Achala Bhaktihi, Achala Bhuktihi, the Nischala Manas which he got. Now he is into a very pious state. He is into a very undreamt state where he's being guided, he is being taken, and he is a Swatma Ramam Mudita Vadanam. He is into that Swatma Ramaha state. So that is what Advaita Bhakti is being stressed by Bhagavadpada in entire Bhagavad Gita Bhashya. Even Bhagavadpada, if we could see all his grantha, if we say in Shivananda Lahari, he says, Na Kavita, I don't know any Kavita, I don't know no Jyotish Shastra, I don't know anything. Oh Shiva, grace me with that knowledge. He is himself the Bhagavan. He is enacting. Why is enacting? Because we need to be in his path. If we enact only, if we are traveling in the Bhagavadpada's path, we are assured of the Moksha Samrajya, is what I wanted to conclude here. I also offer my humble pranams to my Gurus who have made me to sit up in the stage. Wanted to convey a small thing. If there were any good things in this speech, it all goes to my Gurus. Namah Paramarshibhyaha, Namah Paramarshibhyaha. If there were many flaws which were seen in this speech, that everything is owned by one and only me. Also, I wanted to thank the organizers of the Indica who gave me this opportunity right away. My humble pranams, my Atma Samarpana Purvaka pranams to the Indica group who have given me this wonderful opportunity to have a chintana about the great Adi Shankaracharya Bhagavadpadacharya. With this, I do the Samarpana of this humble speech at my Guru's Charanaravinda, and I rest my speech here. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Yomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 जय सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय।
Hey.
सद्गुरु चरणारविंद की जय।
Dhanyavadaha, Ananda Ganesh ji. That was Bhakti Pravaha. Felt like a Ganga Pravaha to me. You know, in a matter of 1 hour, you touched upon so many elements of what true bhakti means, from Manda to Madhyama to Uttama. And you also gave some very nice tips. Nitya Yuktaha, because all of us are working, we have jobs, we have families. So don't stop that. Do your daily duty, and you have beautifully connected to all the Shankaracharyas who are doing the Nitya Chandramaulishwara Puja, just to show us that bhakti doesn't mean that you forget everything. And Eka Bhakti was again a wonderful one that you mentioned. And the way you talked about Svarupa Anusandhana Bhakti as the summary of everything that you said, wonderfully delivered. And you know huge welcome to the team from now on. And you also talked about why Adi Shankara picked this Gita, Bhagavad Gita, to the bhashyams. So as we have said in other talks, Bhagavad Gita is a practical manual for life. It is a decision making manual. It has to be taught to every person on the planet. It is not tied to any specific dharma, but it is specific to Sanatana Dharma, which is connected to every human being. So wonderful. You also talked about what Deshikaha means. So when we are going with the Guru, you just go with the Guru, go with the flow. So thank you once again for your wonderful, eloquent, yet very simple talk on bhakti. With this, we will end this today's session. The next session is in 11 hours. It's going to be by Dr. Chinmayananda on the topic of anecdotes from Shankaracharya's life for understanding Advaita. So we look forward to seeing you all. Please tell your friends these talks go on twice a day at 7 a.m. IST and 7 p.m. IST. Jaya Jaya Shankara, Hara Hara Shankara. Om Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha.